Well, I have decided to put the Sopwith pup on the bench. It's getting serious time. So I built this model that was bought for my birthday. It's the Sopwith pup Chow. It's not taken off with the eagles and flown, so I'm going to dissect it and find out why. Part of the reason is because it's tail heavy, even though I was using the lightest, merest touch of glue. Never mind. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to take all the cowl apart and let's have a look at what we've got. My problem is this mechanism that keeps the cowl on. See those hooks there? And there's one on the other side. Now this side hooks in pretty good. This side, okay, it goes in and I have to twist it like that. And 9 times out of 10 when I run the motor up, you see that cowl comes out. Now the thing is, what is stopping that from turning? And I don't know, because if I disconnect everything, all the cables inside, I can get that on and off easy. But this connection here for the motor is so delicate, I've had to solder it on twice. The battery's supposed to go on top of that yellow cardboard tab, but I've had to put it inside on Velcro because you just can't twist it, you can't do anything with it. So if I put that in there, line that up, and then line the opposite lock up, and then I have to put so much force into it to turn it, okay, I'm damaging the neoprene. So you can see it's not engaging properly, and I don't know what's stopping it. I mean, that turns all right, that no problem at all. No, it hasn't come out this time. But what I don't want to do is have that flying through the air and then the cowl comes off. So that's my problem. You've got to be very, very careful about what you're doing here, because you've got the workings of the gearage and you don't want... See, what I've had to do is I've had to glue the power cable up the side of the fuzz to keep that clear of the gearage there. This one I've had to wind round the frame there to make it shorter, but obviously, you know, it's just so bloody fiddly that I'm beginning to not enjoy it. But you have to keep a certain amount of length on it, and I'm taking it on and off so many times, it's fracturing the cables to the point where I need to put new plugs on it, and it's not funny anymore. Well, I can't see where it's catching. No, it's catching somewhere there, because I can hear it. But also, I think it's affecting the thrust angle as well. Right, so on to the next thing on the list. There's an intermittent fault with the rudder. You see that? See that? There you go. Getting that. Now, that has to be the receiver setup. There you go. So it looks as though I'm going to have to take the receiver out. That's not going to be easy, and I'm going to have a think about how to get that out. Yeah. Of course, now they've got the camera on the servo, it's going to act properly. But as far as I can see, let's see if I can keep it going. Wait for it to do it again. Yeah, did it then, look, see? There you go. So, I have contacted John, and he said he has a setup, a used setup that he can send me. Well, if it works, you know, then fine. It's a case of getting this out now, isn't it? So I'll stop it there just for now, and I'll come back to you as soon as I've got something to show you. There you go. That's on center, and it stayed turning right. There you go. Yeah, there's the fault. That's left. Now it should return to center, but it hasn't. Turn right, back to center, stay where it is. Turn left. There you go. Full right, full left. There you go. So that's a faulty servo. This, now I'm not even using right and left, and that's going on its own. Now that's full up, that's full down. I'm not even touching the rudder. So there you have a faulty board, ladies and gentlemen. So turn it to the right. That's back to centre. Now it won't even move left. Yeah. So there we are. We have a faulty board. So that's got to go back, unfortunately. That's the constituent parts there. You also have included in that is the engine and the cowl and the battery holder. There you go, and of course you have the prop. So without checking it, it looks to me like the prop will rotate anti-clockwise, so I'm going to put that to one side, don't need it. Now what am I going to do? Well, first thing I'm going to do is this part here, which is the firewall to the back of the cowl, so in other words it goes back here. Now I'm adding a much stronger, a much bigger rare earth magnet. So the reason for this clip here is to keep this all flat while the glue goes off of that rare earth magnet, so that this does not slip off or go in any direction or do something I don't want it to do, especially when it's under high torque from the prop and the motor going round. So this will make sure this does not move, and that will become more apparent a little bit later on once the glue is dried, and I will go through the whole process. So there you go, strengthening that up. Now it doesn't matter if that magnet adds a bit of weight, I've got to put weight in it anyway. The other thing I did do was I took off whatever was on the back of this dummy motor, because it gives you a lot more room for this cowl. Now I think that cowl as it is how it should be, but I did note that the other chaps down the indoor flying had taken a lot more of this ring out to give you space for this to turn. I could do that. I'm not so keen to do it, but what I did do was I took all the rings off. There's a sticker that goes in the back there. I don't even know why that sticker's there. It has no purpose. You're never going to see it. I don't know why. So I got it all flat, and I put this onto an emery board and just took the back off and made this even thinner, so that when it spins it is completely free to do what it needs to do with that cowl on the way that it is. Now, yes, I could take out this inner ring, but this other chap's cowl, who has the Christmas version, it does look a little bit different. It almost looks as though it has some rivets that go around here. I don't know, I think it is different. But anyway, this is how I applied the weights originally. If you bring that up there, if you can see that. And I used the ball, the pens with the ball on, and I just kept going around to get them into shape. What I might do is I might actually take all of this out. I may even make a plaster Paris mould of that. I think I'll get 8 grams of lead, melt it down into a mould so it fits straight into there, and then I just take off the lead as I need to. When I think I've got it right, I will just shave it off and then glue it in. But I have ideas for that later on. So put that to one side. So what are we left with? Now let's put the motor to one side. I've chatted about that. So we come to the motor. Now if I turn that, can you see that that cog is not running central? Now I'm trying to decide whether, I don't think the spindle's bent. I think the cog's just been pressed on incorrectly. But there's not much I can do about that. It's obviously a bad moulding on the gearage there. The rest does seem to be okay. Now the other issue I had was this connector. Okay, so I've had to solder this on twice, and because I was taking the front on and off so many times, it fractured the solder. So I have to replace that with this. This is the Micron Radio Control 53001 motor lead, 1mm. Well, it says actually 100mm for the AR64XX PKZ335X. This is its replacement. Now what I also did was, this is the male version. Male goes into female. I got the female version because I have an idea that what I might do is to, let me grab it back again. Where the female socket sticks up there, you're having problems with fouling the gearage. Now there's two ways of dealing with this. I can either desolder that and put the lead on, feed it from underneath and come around the back, or go around the sides. Or what one of the guys did down at the indoor flying was he put a strip of wire across here so all the cables came out and back into the model, which then stops this from fouling. Well, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm waiting for this glue to dry anyway, so we'll have a mess around with that later. Also, these pegs. Now, this peg here is a looser fit than this peg. I'm not really sure why exactly, but it is. But I'm not going to mess around with this anymore until that magnet that glue and that magnet is dried, and I know that that's not going to go anywhere, because when this gets under high revs, for some reason this allows itself to twist. This magnet doesn't stop it, and then this part of the cowl comes away and the thrust angle's all wrong. So that's another thing besides the weight. So that's the leads. Just put them to one side. I have my soldering iron here to carry on with that. This, I may put the battery back on as instructed to sit on here, but what I might do is I might use some stretchy, what they call it, they use it for rigging on ships, some stretchy thread, elasticated thread, and put one thread around here, one thread around here. This is to stop the battery from moving this way and that way, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more snug. So I'll put that to one side. Now, the motor mount itself. Now, this goes underneath, this way up like this, okay? So, when I first did this, I followed this to the letter, except for one thing. Well, actually, John did say in the video that if you can glue it in, you can get some snips, which I have here, and he said you can snip off the end. That's exactly what I did. Now I've deglued everything. So what I've done is I've run by hand a 2mm drill bit through these holes, and it just gives you that thousandths of an inch larger, so that this will now sit and be seated rather nicely. Because I think it's more important than you may have observed on the build videos, that has to be absolutely flat, comfortably seated. Now, what did I do to deglue all this? Well, as per recommended, and I already knew, I used lighter fluid. Lighter fluid will deglue cyano. It takes a lot longer and you have to use a little bit more force, but it will deglue cyano. So I managed to get everything apart, and the good thing about it is it does dry off like it's alcohol and it disappears. So that's one thing that's going on with that. So let me just pop this out gently as I can. There we go. So now we come to, this is where I can't get this to fit at the back of the firewall just yet, because that magnet's, the glue on the magnet's drying. You have to make absolutely certain that this is a 100% fit into the back of that firewall, along with this. Now, the little edges have broken off there, but what I had to do, I got my little files out, and with a little bit of teasing here and there, I managed to get a little bit of adjustment so that this edge and this edge matches up exactly and is at 90 degrees on both sides. Okay, so I can put that one over there as well as. Okay, I can't stress hard enough how important it is that this goes in square to the back of the firewall. I mean, I was not taking this too seriously when I was building it, but having seen the way the aircraft is flying and it's pitching up, the thrust angle is not pitching it down and right as it should do, for all these different reasons. So for the combination of reasons, this is why I'm going back to basics. I picked it apart and I'm going to redo it completely. So I'm going to start with soldering that lead on to there. Now I'm not going to try and put that pin onto there. I'm just going to shorten this lead and add that lead on, and it'd be better and I'll use some shrink film on there, and that will then be good. And actually I'll probably make it shorter, because one of the problem is I think this leads a little bit on the long side, if I'm being honest. I'm having to tuck it away all the time. So I'm going to solder this on. I'm going to let that glue dry on the magnet, and I'll show you a few more bits and bobs. So let's see if we can bring this video to a rapid conclusion. I have put things back together now. The electric motor is as flat as is flat against that ply mounting there. It's the correct way up. It's now positively facing right and down, and we have the magnet there, the existing magnet, and everything's all square on. And it's just, the reason I was doing all of this is just to double it up and make sure everything is as it should be. So once the dummy motor goes on, we have now doubled up the amount of space for that to spin, and there you go with that. Now all I have to do really is get some more lead and put it in this front area here. I'm going to add another 4 grams to that, and then I'll check out the centre of gravity once I've got the receiver back. Now I've had to post the receiver back to Microaces, who have promised to replace it. They said they want to examine it. Well, they can examine it as much as they like. It doesn't work properly. And I've certainly not altered it anyway. So in the meantime, what I might do, I might actually go to a place whose name escapes me right now, where I can get another board. They cost about £40, and I'll probably slip that in because I'm not expecting a positive result. So just to save time, and I need to get this up in the air, I might just do that actually this afternoon. So that's where we are with that. That should now fit in snugly to the vacant area there. Let's put that cable in, line up those pegs. Oop. Forgot I hadn't glued that. Silly idiot. There you go. Right, so that fits rather snugly. That now goes back on there, which needs to be glued later. I'm not going to do it now. And that looks okay to me. So that just needs the propeller putting on and the battery mount. So I'm going to call it a day there. But what I will add is this. Let me just turn that around. Okay, so just hoping you can see me okay. So look, you know, the purpose of this video is to not rubbish Microaces or anything there, parts or anything like that. It's a case of what's wrong and how do we cure it. And I want to make that quite plain now. It's not to rubbish anybody. It's not to rubbish the model or put you off buying it or anything like that. It's purely on what do we do to correct it, because I won't be the only person that will have this problem. Okay, so let's have that understood. So I will probably be off there until such times as that receiver comes back to me or I get a replacement for it. Okay, thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and if you're interested in any of the other things that I've got in my catalogue, please press subscribe. I will be posting other stuff. I do have a major project going on at the moment. Don't want to talk about it too much. It's something that Mr. Diceman is interested in, and I will be cracking on with that amongst other things. So yeah, please like, please subscribe, and goodbye.